23 verse is the prohibition of interest. So it says, "Lo tashicha chicha neshach kesef neshach ochel neshach kol davar asher yishach." You're not allowed to cause tashicha chicha neshach kesef neshach ochel. You're not. The prohibition is you're not allowed to cause your brother to take interest, meaning you're not allowed to pay interest of money or interest of food. Neshach kol davar asher yishach, interest of anything. Rashi says this is a commandment. Rashi says this is a negative prohibition against the borrower. Shelo yitain ribis l'malva, that there's a commandment against for the borrower that he can't give a prohibition to the that he's not allowed to pay interest, and also afterwards is a prohibition for the lender that he's not allowed to accept or charge interest as kasbachol titain lo b'neshach. So we were studying this chapter in Baba Bas. We were studying it in Baba Metzia Ezu Neshach, and then there was the concern: what is considered to be interest? Like you could argue, if I lend money, what's the inflation rate today? So whatever, who knows? Anybody know the inflation? Right?
3.5%.
What?
4%.
Yeah. So basically, if the inflation rate is 4%, and if I lend you $10,000, and I say don't pay me the interest, don't pay me inflation rate interest, then I'm losing money. So I'm actually paying you. So I asked my son who studied with Rav Schachter to ask him, are you allowed to at least charge inflation rate? That's not interest. That's
keeping the dollars constant.
And he said, no, that's interest. Inflation is interest. So that's so the prohibition of interest made sense in a time where the types of loans were hand to mouth loans, so that you could have what to eat. But nowadays, the prohibition that people take capital and they use it and they invest. So this is harder to understand. So there is a leniency that was developed called the heter iska, which is how people are able to lend money as part of a partnership of business and thereby charge some interest. This is a loophole around the interest prohibition. Okay, so the next verse says, "L'nachri tashlich u'achicho tashlich." To the idolater or to the non-Jew, you can charge interest, but to your brother, you're not allowed to charge. So the Gemara has three opinions about whether or not. Let's see what Rashi says. To say you're in violation of two negative commandments and a positive commandment. So that's what Rashi says. But before we get to that, what's your relationship with interest with the non-Jew? So there's three possibilities. One is that it's a commandment to charge the non-Jew interest. And the second possibility is that it is a second possibility is that you're allowed to charge a non-Jew interest. And then there's a third possibility that just like you're not allowed to charge your brother interest, you're not allowed to charge the non-Jew interest.
I'm voting for the first.
You're saying that it's a commandment.
Don't give away anything to a non-Jew.
So there is a prohibition against showing favor to an idolater, but of course the Jews in the Middle Ages were called moneylenders. That was their name. But hi Kobe, how you doing? Good. So Jeffrey votes for the first, that it's a commandment to lend the non-Jew interest. Anybody have a different opinion? How you think it ends up? So the Talmud offers all three approaches. Talmud offers all three opinions. One opinion is that it's a commandment to lend that interest with non-Jew. Another opinion is that you're allowed, and the third opinion is you shouldn't even lend them at interest because then it'll cause you to start lending money to Jews at interest. So all three of these commandments are in the word, the Gemara says the word neshech means to bite, because interest is so like somebody biting you, because you don't feel it as much at the beginning, and then it just keeps charging and growing and growing. That's what's called compound interest. Some people think it's the greatest invention ever, and some people think it's the worst. So hey, Eliezer, how you doing? So, okay. So God will bless you with everything that you send forth on the land that you come there to inherit. Rashi says, okay, we said that. Ki tidor. Okay, now we're up to the next commandment. This is very, very important. Very, very important. Very important. We're about to say something incredibly important. Ki tidor neder la'Hashem Elokecha. When you take a vow, yes, Jerry.
In the 21st pasuk, where it says, "You may deduct interest from loans to foreigners." This sentence has caused all kinds of anti-Semitism throughout the ages. That Jews are money.
Well, yeah, well, I wouldn't say it was specifically the sentence, but in the Middle Ages, this became the issue because in Latin Christendom, the Christians, the Catholics, were not allowed to lend money at interest. It was a prohibition. But of course, even though they were not allowed to lend money at interest, you can't live without borrowing money. We know it. Society needs it. So
the Jews were not.
So therefore, the Jews were basically kept around by the kings just to be moneylenders, and so therefore, their only function in society was to be the people who provided capital. So that became their job. That the medieval text would say Jews and other moneylenders. That was their job. They were also cut out of all the trade guilds, so they weren't able to be like they weren't able to be the blacksmiths and the metal workers because they were excluded from the trades. So basically, their only job was either scribes for their communities, rabbis, or slaughterers, or moneylenders. That was their basic job in Latin Christendom. So
they could lend money to other Jews, but not at interest.
So they were able to lend money to other Jews using the loophole called the heter iska. They figured out a way to do it, but because they had to be realistic, just like we figured out a way to do other things like selling our chametz before Pesach. Sometimes you figure out a way to do things. Victimless crime, like when the approach to interest as a moral. I mean, there are still usury laws in America. That's about if you charge too high of interest, but it's called usury laws, and I think it's illegal. There are usury laws, and you know how to do it. Loan sharks, but anyway, okay. Ki Sidor, verse 22. This is a beautiful verse. Ki Sidor neder la'Hashem Elokecha lo sacher l'shalmo. When you make a vow to God, do not delay paying it. And hello there, boys. When you make a vow to God, do not delay to pay it because Hashem will seek from you and there will be a sin. So you might need to get another popcorn. You know what? Maybe I'll ask you tomorrow. I see you like the popcorn. We got to get more of it, Moshe.
Get another one.
Yeah. I'll send you a shopping list. Beautiful. So the idea is that when you take a vow to God, don't delay paying it. Because if so, God will seek it out from you and there'll be a sin. It says in Kohelet, better not to vow than to vow and not to pay. Don't take a vow and not pay. That's the worst thing in the world. Not the worst thing in the world, but that's much worse than not making a vow at all. Don't make a vow and not pay. How long are you going to be in violation of the prohibition? So Rashi here rules like one of the opinions in the Gemara, but there are the opinion in the Gemara. Rashi says the shalosh regalim. Well, I'm doing Rabbateinu min Mikra. Rashi says the opinion that it's 3 festivals. Other opinions in the Talmud are 1 festival, and some sort of hybrid opinion, but not exactly 3 festivals. But Rashi adopts the most lenient position that you're only in violation of the prohibition when you wait 3 festivals. So if you make a pledge to charity and you don't pay it nowadays by 3 festivals, basically a year, then you're in violation of a prohibition. So I encourage everybody, not to make the vows, always say the bli neder before you make the pledge. But if you make such a pledge to pay it, then don't be delayed because you're in violation of a prohibition.
Why is this a vow for Hashem, for charity, but paying it to God?
Well, I'm saying this is talking about a vow that you made to bring a sacrifice to God. But there's a vow that if people make a vow to give charity today, that's the equivalent of that. That's a vow. You made a vow, and if you don't pay the charity vow, that's also, many commentaries say, most commentaries say it's a violation of the prohibition of lo tacher, bal tacher, not delaying your vow. So don't delay your vow and pay it right away.
Any charity or synagogues?
I believe it's any charity they make a vow to pay. I believe. Okay, so we could look it up. Maybe Rabbi Yosef could pull up a text of modern applications of the prohibition. Do not take a vow. Do not be delayed in paying your vow. I believe it's if you take a vow to give charity, you have to pay it within 3 festivals.
I hope it doesn't include political.
Well, that's not a vow to charity. That's not a charity.
They're not what he defines as charity.
We do, the rabbis do. So I'm saying just any nonprofit is not necessarily a charity. So, what? No, just because it's a nonprofit by U.S. thing. Yeah. That's not what I was referring to, but although it might be. Okay, v'chisachto, and or if you don't.
Also for the poor. Also,
Okay.
not any.
The giving to gifts to the poor. There you go. Thank you, Rabbi Yosef. Chisachto, and or if you cease to take a vow, if you cease to take a vow, there will not be a sin on you. Well, Jeffrey just asked the question: Jewish poor or Gentile poor? Well, we give to the Gentile poor with the Jewish poor. With the Talmud already says that we give to all the poor, to bring peace to the world. Okay, everything that comes out of your mouth you shall protect. You shall do like you vowed to Hashem your God. A vow that you spoke with your mouth. Rashi says,
You skipped it, verse 23.
no, I didn't skip it. I read it. I read it. I'm sorry, but I can repeat it again. What?
So you don't give to charity, then you don't give.
No, it doesn't say don't give. It says don't vow to give. Don't make the pledge. Don't make the pledge. You have to give to charity. There's commandments to give to charity, but it's not commanded to make a vow to give. So you have to give. Tov shelo tidor, but it's better not to make a vow than to make a vow and not pay. But you have to give to the poor. You just shouldn't make a vow. You should just give. Give it. Why do people make the vow? They make the pledge. People jump up at the Federation dinner and say, I'm going to give $1 million. Well, just give the $1 million. You don't have to jump up and pledge it. Run your credit card right there. So watch what you say. And Rashi says this gives a positive commandment on the negative commandment. Just like you vowed to God, you should do. Now we're going to verse 25. Okay, so now this is the law. Ki tavo b'kerem riyacha. So if you come into your friend's vineyard, and you eat the grapes, you're allowed to eat the grapes to your heart's desire. But you're not allowed to put in your utensil. Rashi says this refers to bipolar. It doesn't mean that anybody can go into another person's vineyard. That's not what the Talmud is referring to, but it's referring to a worker. A worker who's working, he's allowed to eat his lunch from the crops, but he's not allowed to take for his dinner. You can't put it in your utensil. Basically, you're allowed to eat in a normal manner, but not gross. You can't overeat, but don't put in your vessel. Rashi says, the Torah is only talking about the time of the harvest. So when you're putting the grapes into the vessels, but if you want to come, but if you're just doing other work that's prior to the harvesting, like the hoeing or the covering over the roots, then you can't eat. So this is the idea that when you're harvesting the crops, you're allowed to take what you can eat, but you're not allowed to take it home, basically. Jerry has a question.
Yes, I think we're narrowing the allowance in this pasuk. The pasuk does not talk about laborers; it's talking about the general public.
Right. The Talmud says that it refers only to laborers. The Talmud limits it. It says it doesn't refer to anybody, it just refers to laborers.
Well, how can the Talmud override this general statement? They dig deep into all kinds of.
The Talmud is the oral law, so it's not overriding, it's explaining it. That's what the Talmud does. That's basically welcome to our faith, Jerry. That's what the Talmud does. The Talmud explains. It's the oral law explains the written law. You know that.
Yeah, but they, on the other hand, they go to a deal of work in intersecting the
You cannot subtract.
in analyzing words of the Torah. They say if something is silent, then
Right. They do a hyper micro reading of the text, but they have their oral tradition, and that's what it is. They're not adding or subtracting, they're saying that this is a tradition of how we're supposed to read this verse. You have to read, they have a tradition of how to read the verses. That's what they do. Ki tevo b'kamat re'acha, when you come into the standing green of your fellow, the katafta mulilos biyadecha, similar verse, and you can pluck the grain, the stalks with your hands, v'charmesh lo tanif, but you can't lift a sickle al kamat re'acha. So here too, you're allowed to eat what you pluck, but you can't take a sickle to take it home with you. So basically, Rashi says, it's referring to a worker. The worker is allowed to take what he can pluck, but he's not allowed to bring a sickle. So now we come to a mitzvah. There's a mitzvah from the Torah, to divorce one's wife. It's a mitzvah.
Divorce one.
Yeah, that's what it says. But obviously, this is not a mitzvah that people should wake up when they get married and say, I want to fulfill the mitzvah of divorcing my wife. It's just that if it's not working out, if the marriage is not working out, then it's a mitzvah to do a divorce. But it's not, basically not every mitzvah in the Torah is a mitzvah that you want to fulfill. You don't want to strive to fulfill this mitzvah. I mean, that sometimes you want to get married, you want the marriage to work. Sometimes it doesn't work. I don't know what the current divorce rate is in America, but it's pretty high. Yeah.
Is it a mitzvah to get divorced, or is it really speaking about a proper halachic get is a mitzvah?
No, it's a mitzvah. Well, that's a divorce. It's a mitzvah to give the divorce when the marriage is done.
But don't you have to read the final sentence for you found in her a matter of immorality? So
No, wait. It says in the verse, let me read the verse. When a man finds a woman and he marries her, she doesn't find favor in his eyes, because he found something wrong. Well, hold on 1 second, I'll explain it. Because of us Sefer Krisus, and he shall write for her a bill of divorce. V'nasan biyadeh, gives it in her hand, v'shocha bebeso, and she sends forth from his, and he sends her forth from the house. Now, Rabbi Yosef, can you please pull up? Can you please pull up the Talmud? I think it's the last Mishnah in Kiddushin. Or maybe it's either last Mishnah in Kiddushin or in Gittin. I forget which one. It talks about what is this matter that we call it Kimatza Ba'erev Davar. What is this matter that causes you to have to mitzvah to divorce her? And you pull it up. Rabbi Akiva, look at the position. I mean, there's a wide range of opinions about this. Here we go. Here. So here we go. No,
All the Talmud came up together. I did the one.
No, go down. That's it?
No,
It's a Mishnah.
there's 95 other places.
Oh, okay, fine. Here, go to Gittin. Go to Gittin. And it's at the end of Gittin. It's at the very end. Go to the last page of Gittin. So go all the way down to the bottom. That's the last page. Here we go. Here, Beis Shammai says, a man may not divorce his wife unless he finds out her engaging in a matter of forbidden sexual problem. Go on, go down. Rabbi Akiva says, here we go. This is the last page in Gittin. Rabbi Akiva says, even if he found another woman who's better looking than her. So that's what Rabbi Akiva says, because it says in the verse, here in this verse, if she does not find favor in his eyes. So Rabbi Akiva, who is famous for his loving relations with his wife, he was picking the straw out of her hair, or she was picking the straw out of his hair. He says the emphasis on if she does not find favor in his eyes. And then if you go down more, Rabbi Yosef, go down more. You keep going in the Talmud, go down. There, Rashi continues. He says, with what kind of wife is it a mitzvah? Because he has found an unseemly manner in her. What is that? Go on. What's it referring to? Here, stop. Go on, go down. Well, anyway, maybe he's not going to get to it all, but if she even burns the food. So there's a wide range. One is Beit Shammai is here saying only if the matter is of a sexual nature, but other is if he finds somebody better looking. Other is if she does something, she's not good at keeping the house. So there's a wide range.
Let me defend Rabbi Akiva. Okay, this is
Of
from
course, Rabbi Akiva.
Rav Tzuriel said that it's the man's problem if he thinks that another wife is more beautiful.
Yeah, of course. If the man sees,
it's not because she isn't beautiful anymore. It's because he has stupid eyes to start looking at other women. Then that's why.
I would say it like this: if the man thinks that there's another woman more beautiful than his wife, then the marriage is already over. So then the marriage is already in big trouble if he's more excited by another woman than his own wife. So that's a very powerful concept. But I'm just saying it's very serious. But if the marriage is over, when the marriage is over, then it's a mitzvah to do the divorce, for sure. So sometimes you see men today who are so-called religious men, but they're not divorcing their wife. They're not giving the get. They're holding out for more money. So those people are in violation of this mitzvah. All right, we'll stop here. And we'll daven mincha at this time. I just want to remind everybody that Thursday we have this